Okay, well, I bet you thought I was going to forget, but I certainly did not forget. So here's our first problem right here. So we got a cubic equation, x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4x equals 2. Then, of course, as you know, the first thing to do is set everything equal to 0. So we got x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 2 equals 0. And now, since this is a cubic, we know we can't factor this, so we need to find some way, as I was talking about in class today, to get this from a cubic down to a quadratic. And fortunately, we have a method. What we're going to do is we're going to use our calculators, or Desmos, or something like that, to graph this and find one of the zeros, and then we're going to use that 1 0 to help us to reduce the equation down or depress the equation down to a quadratic. So I'm just going to put this into my calculator here and see if I can find a 0 for this. So we got x to the third power minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. I'm just going to graph that. And I'm going to zoom standard so I can hopefully see a better version of this graph. Okay, so I see that this graph hits the x-axis right about there. That's about where the 0 is. But about there isn't quite good enough, so I actually want to find out exactly what it is. So I'm going to do second calc, and we're going to find a 0, and I do the left bound thing, and I do the right bound, and I hit enter, and I don't guess, and we come up with a 0 where x is equal to 1. So I know that x equals 1 is one of the zeros. Since x equals 1 is one of the zeros, then x minus 1 must be a factor. So x minus 1 is a factor. Well, since I know that x minus 1 is a factor, I can divide it into this. And when I divide x minus 1 into this, I'm going to end up with a quadratic. And the easiest way to divide x minus 1 into this is by synthetic division. So I take what would be the solution for this, which is 1. That's the 0 that came from this factor. It also came from our graph, right? That's where we cross the x-axis. So I put 1 in the box, and then I just carry on with my synthetic division stuff. And we go about our synthetic division. So we bring down the 1, multiply, 1 times 1 is 1, negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, 4 plus negative 2 is 2, 1 times 2 is 2, negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So now I have x cubed, that's the coefficient of the, x squared, that's the coefficient of the x squared term, minus 2x, coefficient of the x term, plus 2 equals 0. Now this 0 is not this 0. This 0 right here is the remainder. And I'm glad that this is equal to 0 because that meant that x minus 1 really was a factor and 1 really was a solution, a 0, because it gave us 0 as a remainder. So now we're going to solve this quadratic equation right here. And as we look at this, we realize this is not factorable, so we need to jump into the quadratic formula. So we'll do 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times 1 times 2 over 2 times 1 or 2, which gives us 2 plus or minus the root of 4 minus 8 over 2 equals 2 plus or minus square root of negative 4 over 2, 2 plus or minus 2i over 2 equals 1 plus or minus I. So there are actually two roots right here, 1 plus I and 1 minus I. That's the two roots from the quadratic we got. This is the depressed equation because it came from this cubic thing. And we know that 1 is the other root that we got already from the graphing. So these are the three solutions to our cubic equation. And remember, the fundamental theorem of algebra tells us that the number of solutions, 3, oops, did I forget to put the 1 there? The number of solutions will be equal to the degree of the polynomial. So there is there's our first example for solving a higher order polynomial. So the next one we have is 3x squared 3x cubed, I mean, 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 8x plus 8 equals 0. And again, going to do the same trick here. Just put this right into the calculator and clear that out. So we got 3x to the third minus 4x squared plus 8x plus 8, and again we graph it up. And we see that we are hitting the x-axis right here, but again, how much exactly is that? I don't know, let's find out. So we do second calc, find a 0, and we do the left bound thing, and we get to the left of that, which is right there, and then we go to the right of that, which is right there, and we don't guess, and we come up with 0.6666667, which of course really means 2/3. So we know that 2/3 is one of our roots. In fact, it is the root. So we got 2/3. Incidentally, if 2/3 is our root, then we know that the factor for this must have been 3x minus 2. Because when we set this equal to 0, add 2, divide by 3, and we get 2/3. But in any case, we have 2/3 in our box right there. 3, negative 4, just write in the coefficients of the polynomial. Bring down the 3. 2/3 of 3 is 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Something bad happened here. 3, negative 4, negative 2. Is it 2/3 or 3/2 that I wanted? No, that's 2/3. Well, let me try to carry on with this. This isn't going to work though. 3. 2/3 of 3 is 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. I wonder what happened with this problem. All right, I'm going to have to pause this.